Jesus makes quite a promise to us in today's gospel. He says, I will be always with you. I will be within you. I will send an advocate, the Spirit of truth, to be with you. And I was thinking about that. I was thinking, I wouldn't have minded if he had made other promises, like you will never be hurt in a relationship. No one will ever betray you. And or a promise that you will have good health and your body won't fall apart too soon. I would have liked that promise. That would have been great. Or maybe the promise of that you will experience no persecution, no injustice in your life. That's another one I would like. That you'd have a lot of money. That wouldn't be so bad. And I could come up with a longer list. In fact, I did, but that's not the promise he made us. The promise he made us is that he would always be present to us. In fact, he would send his Spirit, the advocate, sometimes called the Paraclete, the Spirit of truth, to live within us. And then he goes on to say that I am in the Father, and you are in me, and I am in you. Now, I'm a little slow sometimes. So every time I read this section in the gospel, it's like I'm getting confused. Who's in what? Who's on first and what's on second? You know, it's like I don't get it. So I'm paying a little bit more attention here. It says, I live in the Father, and you live in me, and I live in you. Okay. So how do you understand that? And I found one way to understand it is this. Is it not true that when we love someone, we carry them around inside us? Is that true? We're mindful of them. Even, I've noticed, after people die, it's like the love they gave, it's still here. We wish their presence was still here, not the suffering kind, but, that they were still here. We could talk to them. Hey, Mom. Oh, I can't call Mom. We wish that they were there, but there's a part of them that still lives within us, still breathes within us. And why can't the same be true of God? A mysterious kind of a thing, but it happens. And that if we are attentive to that, then it can make a difference for us. So I got just a couple little stories that talks about it. It's the same thing. The first story is about an 8-year-old boy that said, if you don't believe in God, you will be lonely because your parents can't be everywhere, like at camp. But God can. It's a good thing to know he's around when you're scared of the dark or when you're thrown into the deep water by the big kids. If you know God exists, if your parents have brought you to church and you've been going to church and you have a kind of mindful of that, it certainly helps to know that God is always with us. And especially sometimes we can experience it. It gives us the strength that we need. There's another story about an adult. I was present for this. I was sent over to Zambia, Africa for a few weeks to do some work with the friars. And this woman kind of gave a little testimony. And she was asked, what are you grateful for? She said, well, I've never had much of anything. But what little I've had has been taken. I have been robbed 3 times. So I'll tell you what I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for my faith. I'm grateful for my God. Because no one can take away my faith or my God from me. Now there's a promise that Jesus made to us that lives within her. And it makes some more sense to me, like listening to this, you are in me and I am in you. Isn't it kind of consoling, at least, to know that we are in the heart of Christ, that he carries us in his heart, And that what he wants us to do is to carry him in our hearts. In order to do that, we kind of needed to be attentive to him. Why do I have to go to Mass every Sunday? Well, I got a whole list of reasons, but this is definitely one of them. If you're going to be in a relationship with someone, don't you kind of have to be present to that person? It's kind of like this. A man, I'll call him Zeke. He figured out a way to remember his wife's birthday and the wedding anniversary. So what he did was he went down to the local florist, opened an account, gave her the dates for her wedding anniversary and her birthday, and said every day, every anniversary and birthday, I want you to send a bouquet of flowers, mix it up and just sign it, your loving husband, and that'll be the end of it. So things are working just fine. His wife just feels all thought of and all special and everything, until one day he comes home, he kisses his wife, sees the bouquet of flowers, and he says, nice flowers, where'd they come from? Busted. Sometimes life can go that way, that we don't pay attention to. We're not attentive to the people who love us, the people we love. And we end up not being present. When we are, it makes all the difference in the world. I love it when I'm over at people's houses and the husband and the wife, every once in a while I catch this. They look at each other. And one looks at the other and the other goes, and they get about doing whatever they're supposed to be doing. It's like it's some mental telepathy or something. But you're on the same page. That's a wonderful thing to see. It's not only in marriage. I see it, there's some friends that I'm closer to when we're doing stuff. I can do the same thing, but it's especially true, can be, in a marriage. We are attentive to each other. And why would that be different with God? I don't have a reason for that. It wouldn't be different. When we are attentive to God's presence in our lives, when we listen to his word, when we receive him here, when we gather as a community, God becomes more present to us. And Jesus talked about it another way. He says, if you love me, keep my commandments. And what are his commandments? Love God with our whole heart, mind, soul, and strength, and to love our neighbor as ourselves. And this loving our neighbor as ourselves, of course, isn't a romantic kind of a thing. I'm just in love with everybody. Not what it is. It's rather a love which is lived out in practical kinds of ways. Like the apostles did in the first reading. They cured those who were crippled and sick. You know anybody who's kind of crippled in life? Something is crippling them, and I don't necessarily mean physically. They could use a little support, a little help. Reach out to the crippled. To those who are experiencing some evil, some bad stuff in their life. Wouldn't it be good to stand by them? I'm with you. Can I solve your problem? No. But I can stand with you. Love one another. When you live out my commandments, then you will know that I am in you and that you are in me. We will experience the very presence of Christ. So, Jesus does make a promise that he can fulfill, that he does fulfill. I will be with you. I will be in you. And our part is to be attentive to him, to let him into our lives and affect what it is that we say and do by loving God and by loving others.